and today we are going to be talking about the RWBY Zwei collection. But this is really a video essay in disguise as an anti-haul. It's like a video essay in a trench coat. Like, we're here to talk about the clothes. But I have a greater thesis about Zwei, and I think that even if you disagree now, by the end of this video, you will agree with me, alright? Because Zwei is a good boy, but I don't think that he's a good mascot, and that's what we're gonna talk about today. So, they released a couple things in the Rooster Teeth store. Hi, Oobleck, completely irrelevant.
Really weird
like,
that
I guess
Oobleck's
it's nice.
here.
Like, this is basically fast fashion, right? Like, this is print-on t-shirt, like, this is Redbubble, Canva, stuff.
Yeah.
It really probably didn't take them a bunch of effort. It's the Amity Arena stuff. I'm always for characters getting shirts. We do have the Flint and Neon shirts, which are their Amity Arena art, and Roman, of course. And I didn't mind because I thought that it's nice for the people that like those characters. It's just a print-on shirt, basically. It's the same as Redbubble, but I thought that it was nice, at least. Nice for them to get something in the store. I just feel like Oobleck is kind of not fitting with, like, Flint, Roman, Neon. Like, I know people like those characters, but,
I don't know who's
still,
Oobleck.
yeah, I don't know.
Also, like, the team-up was in Volume 2.
Yeah.
We're approaching Volume 9 right now. Volume 2 was like
Let's
a decade
talk about
ago.
the clock, okay? I think the clock is funny. It seems a reasonable price for a clock.
Yeah, for like a fancy acrylic clock.
People always are like, but Cal, I wouldn't wear an anime character on my shirt in public. Like,
I don't know
talk
how
about
I feel about having a
would
dog
you have this in
anus
your house?
clock
I
on
don't
the
know.
wall.
Maybe you would, but I don't know.
I
I'm
feel
not gonna
weird
buy
because
it.
whenever I'd want to check the time, I feel like the dog is looking back at me like I'm staring at its asshole.
Keychain. We have the stickers. Like, this is not. We talk about the fall collection in a different video.
Cute,
this is not the most egregious thing that the Rooster Teeth store has ever made. The Zwei pin was cute, which was not in this Zwei collection. It was just a happenstance. But, like, have you noticed the increase? The linear increase of Zwei?
I think the worst one they did was that Zwei towel where it doesn't even look like there's any border on it.
Right, and then
it
this
looks
one
like it's
also
just a
has
cut-out
Zwei.
piece of cloth.
This has Zwei. So here's my thesis, okay? I'm gonna say something so controversial. I know that people are gonna cancel me when they see this thumbnail, okay? Zwei is a bad mascot. Because I understand that Kaito Dan, who's another RWBY YouTuber, replied to me when this merch came out. And he basically, you know, posited that this is mascot stuff, right? Mascot collection, right? And mascots are very common for any show, really. Any media property
Everyone
has
needs
a mascot.
Cute animal mascot.
Here's the thing, though. Zwei is a bad mascot because Zwei does not adequately represent what RWBY actually is. If you look at other shows or games or whatnot, let's take an example of Final Fantasy, right? The Moogle as a mascot.
Sure.
That looks distinctly Final Fantasy because it's so iconic in terms of the Moogle proportions. It's clearly an otherworldly sort of creature, or
it's
like
a
the
fantasy
chocobo,
creature.
right?
Yeah.
Like a little chicken thing. Like all of those, they have I guess, an animalistic element where they look like another animal, but they also represent
fantasy.
Yeah, there's something fantasy about them, at least a little bit, right?
Okay.
Twisted Wonderland. There's a cat, but he's not just a cat. Like, he's clearly demonic. He has the necklace that the other characters have, like the Mage Stone. And so you look at him and you know it's Twisted Wonderland, and they use him as a mascot for, like, the little emoji if you use the official Twisted Wonderland hashtags. You have Fairy Tail. Fairy Tail has a cat. He's probably the most normal looking out of the other two things I mentioned, like the Moogle and Grimm from Twisted Wonderland. He's probably the most normal. But he's
like integrated into the story.
And he's a
visually interesting.
Cat,
yeah.
Right? Like
he's
he can
a blue
fly.
flying
he has
cat
a mystical, magical element about him. The rocks with the eyeballs from Nomad of Nowhere, which we have back there.
Yes.
I feel like that those are things that
because they were magically created by the Nomad, and they're kind of cute,
they're
like
mascot-esque.
the show. Yeah.
So the problem I have with Zwei is that Zwei does not adequately represent the concept of like what RWBY is.
So can I make an argument against that?
Sure, but I have an argument for what Zwei should have been instead. So you can go ahead.
We talked about this previously, so I think I know what you'll say with the Zwei thing. But I feel like Zwei. One, I know why they made Zwei.
Right.
I know because Miles, and he's mentioned this many times, that his favorite anime was Cowboy Bebop.
Right.
And especially early RWBY, like Zwei shows up, I think in volume 2, had a lot of like anime references. Like they reference like Samurai Champloo and all this sort of stuff. And I think that he just loved Ein, which is the super intelligent corgi from the anime Cowboy Bebop. And Miles was like, well, I love this show. I want a corgi, like a hyper intelligent corgi in my show.
And I will play devil's advocate on Hunter's side. I don't think that when Miles and Carrie conceptualized why, that they expected this to happen, right?
They never thought there would be an asshole clock
No,
somewhere down the line.
I don't think that, like, you know, when Monty was like, yeah, sure, let's make this dog fight with Oob, like, I don't think that he would have expected the asshole clock.
But also,
right?
I feel thematically Zwei works.
I don't, and I will
because I think RWBY is I think is about a lot of things, but I also think is about at least the character of RWBY, and I think a lot of the RWBY characters is like unassuming people that go on to do great things.
Sure.
And like be very talented and very cool, and it's like the world is in their hands because they are the ones that are capable and they're the ones who care. And Zwei is just a little cute dog.
That's a good character.
And people think that they're dumb, right? But really, he's smart because he's able to find the White Fang. He's able to fight with Oobleck. Like, I think he's smart.
He's a good character, but is he a good mascot? Because that's what I'm trying to say is I understand your point, but visually, if I brought this home, I don't think that my mom would know that it's RWBY because it just looks like a dog, right? And so here's
your mother would say, "Why do you have a dog butt clock on the wall?"
I agree with you that thematically in the shows, Zwei makes sense, right? He encapsulates that sort of
minor
theme.
Character.
But I don't think that he actually works as a mascot because when you look at him, you don't see RWBY immediately. Like Mickey Mouse. You see Mickey, you know that it's Disney. And I think that that concept applies, like that is a point against Zwei being the mascot, is that he has no distinguishable feature that is different from any other, like if I went on, I don't know, there's these websites that'll make like plushies of your dog, or like you send them a picture of your dog
cards.
and they'll make like stuff for it. Like there's nothing that would differentiate Zwei from any other dog. The other thing is that Zwei has such a basic color palette in a show that's all about color that he also does not look like he is from RWBY compared to the other characters.
Why can't we have like a gay pride rainbow dog?
Oh my god. So here's
Miles
what
and
I would have done to make Zwei better as a mascot. And we talked about this together, and so I think that we can agree.
This was the joint idea.
Yes. I think that they should have made Zwei partly robotic.
Like an android dog.
Yes. A cyborg dog, not an android. Because he's still an actual live dog. But here's the story, okay? When RWBY was a kid, she found this dog alone in the woods, abandoned, right? Almost being threatened by the Grimm. And he had lost some of his, like, body parts, right? He lost maybe one leg and one arm, or his back legs, or his front legs, or whatever the case. And he lost some bits of himself, clearly in some sort of violent altercation with the Grimm. Also, they say that the Grimm don't target animals, but then they also say that they do target animals, so we don't know what's true about that. But let's just pretend that the Grimm did not like this dog pissing on their territory,
or
so
maybe
they took
it could have been hit by a car. It could have been a dozen.
But I don't think there are cars on patch, so I'm just saying
it could have been hit by some like old man Jenkins and his drunken time and his wheelbarrow. I don't know.
I think what they should have done is had RWBY, because she likes weapons and she likes tech and she likes technology.
As a little girl,
actually make Zwei a prosthetic for his missing parts.
So he becomes kind of like an android. He has like little robot
cyborg
legs,
or whatever,
a cyborg,
right?
and little robot tail.
And then you could also make him colorful, because those prosthetics would also be colorful in some capacity.
And maybe they'd look kind of steampunky because it was made by a little girl, so maybe he looks kind of scrappy.
Yeah, and like you could also have it so like he has to, I don't know, like wear it like a harness. He has to wear some sort of harness around his waist to keep everything like there. You could have it so even some of his, like a little bit of like his ear has that sort of robotic part. And so I think that you could make
You could give him like a distinctive scar.
Yeah, something like that to make him colorful enough to fit in like with the show, and also distinct enough so you see that dog and you get it's also a gun. Even the dog is also a gun, because RWBY has given the dog a gun.
So when Oobleck fights, it's like, there's like, she can like take his leg and he's almost like a multi-tool.
Yeah, and I think that that's kind of funny. smart enough to activate the gun himself, she has given the dog a way to defend himself, and I think that's fucking hilarious.
I would also really like if it had damaged its bark, so instead of a regular dog bark, it has like a Microsoft saying like, fork.
Yeah, I mean, we're watching Princess Principal because a
Yes.
patron has commissioned it for us to watch it, and like there's a girl that also has a voice box situation,
robotic voice box.
and so I feel like that'd be, you could do a really high bark or a really low bark, and if he's smart enough, he can use that as a weapon against other people. Imagine like Roman's just like holding the dog and he has this high pitch, like, you know, something enough to make him like drop him and grab his ears, like something like that, right? And so I know that we have the benefit of hindsight, so this obviously isn't gonna happen.
If it was like able to be a parrot and it was able to like bamboozle people by like repeating voices back to
or something like that. Like, I think that would be kind of funny. And again, we have the benefit of hindsight, right?
Yes, of course.
But here's my concern. I think that when Little comes out, we are gonna get Little as the Volume 9 mascot. And Little, also, compared to the other characters in Wonderland, is just a fucking mouse. Right, we toyed with the idea that like eventually Little would have a little piece of clothing,
like
for each character of RWBY. Like he would have the cape and maybe like, you know, for Blake, the bow on the dress and like a little skirt, like, you know, dressing them up like Cinderella dresses up the mice in her movie, in the Disney movie. And so I'm just kind of worried that they're gonna make Little the mascot when there are so many other, like the Cheshire Cat thing that we saw in the Volume 9 trailer, that looked like a fucking mascot. You see that guy and you know what's going on. Like, it looked so distinct. And so that's my problem with Zwei, is that he doesn't look distinct enough to be a mascot. And that's my thesis in my video essay. And that's why I just don't give a shit about any of this merch, right? And like, maybe, I don't know, comment down below. If you have a dog, leave a comment if this appeals to you. But that's the other thing, is that I wasn't allowed to have any pets growing up. So I don't know, there's some people that are dog people and like want the dog decor. Maybe they're like trying to get into that dog mom leaning into that, but
if you have someone in your life that like loves corgis, maybe you can just like try to paint it over with acrylic paints of like of whatever color their corgi is.
But yeah, so the merch isn't bad, but I wanted to talk about that with Zwei because I think that I'm sick of seeing him on stuff, to be perfectly honest.
Can you think of
Zwei has more merch now than Salem and Cinder, right? And a
by
bunch
a long
of other
shot.
By a fucking long shot.
I think it's probably the most merchandise character other than like Yang and RWBY.
It would go Yang, Zwei, Blake, Neo, right? And you go from
RWBY
there.
Like,
you know what I mean? It would just, it's kind of ridiculous, right? And I just don't understand.
Who do you think should be, if not this version of Zwei, or like our alternative Robo Zwei, what existing character should be, other than maybe like RWBY?
I would say that there's a couple options. If I think of Full Metal Alchemist, I think of chibi-fied Alphonse. He's kind of the mascot for that show, even though he's a person and not an animal, because of the nature of who Alphonse is. And when I see a lot of like Full Metal stuff, I think that he's, or the panda that the girl has, that tends to be like the two cute things.
Because it's like the simplified characters tend to be the ones that get merchandise.
Chibi-fied RWBY is the obvious choice as a person. The Grimm is the, I would buy the Grimm asshole claw, to be honest. No, because that would be fucking hilarious. I would buy the Beowulf ass clock. I'm not joking. I think that because that's actually funny. You can do so much with that. Like, you know what I mean? That's actually fucking hilarious. What a conversation starter. You have this horrible monster.
I would love to take the sentence, I would buy the Beowulf ass clock and send that to a classics major that has read the actual Beowulf story.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, that'd be so memeable, where I feel like this is cute but not memeable. Like, a Grimm version of this merch would be so fucking funny. But I do think that the Grimm are the best option, and they've done that before. Like, you had the Grimm camo pants, you had a bunch of other stuff that was you had chibified Grimm at one point on some shirt. I don't remember what it was for, but they've done the Grimm before. So I think that the Grimm is, like, other than RWBY, the second best mascot choice, because everybody knows what the Grimm are. The Grimm represent the world in the show. In terms of a recent example, I would say maybe something like the gods, like the dragons, but that was really late in the game. So I think that honestly, the Grimm are the
TV
mascot, or
movie. Yeah,
they should be the
I
mascot,
agree.
right? And so I think that even though the Zwei stuff's whatever, I just think it's kind of silly. I don't know. I think that other characters should get merch other than Zwei, because there's so much Zwei in the store now that I would love to make a ranking of who has the most merch now, because I genuinely think that the Moon and Zwei are getting higher than some of the major characters. Zwei probably has more merch than Jean at this point.
Potentially.
Probably even more than Neo, even though she had a whole capsule collection. I'm not even shitting you. He probably does, and he hasn't been seen since volume 2 or 3 or whatever. So
No, 4, 5.
Can we talk about the fact that they did not do any merch for Ice Queendom?
Yeah,
Ice
that's
Queendom
weird.
released and they didn't do shit like other companies did. I think Good Smile did. But Rooster Teeth as an entity did nothing.
That is
They did what? They're stuck in the past, I swear. But anyway, I think that we're done here. I think that we've talked about this all we can. So I hope that you guys enjoyed my manifesto on why Zwei should stop getting merch.
The Zwei manifesto.
And I hope you guys had fun, and we'll see you later. Bye!